Have you ever paused to watch a lizard moving quietly across the walls or floors of your home? It's such a small, unassuming creature. Its movements swift, yet deliberate, as if it knows exactly where it's going. At first glance, it might seem like just another harmless visitor, something to ignore or perhaps shoo away. But what if I told you there's more to its presence than meets the eye? Imagine for a moment that the lizard isn't just a random passerby. What if it's appearing in your life for a reason? In Buddhist teachings, there's a belief that every living thing, no matter how small, has a role in the grand design of the universe. These creatures can serve as messengers, carrying lessons we often fail to see amidst the busyness of our lives. This tiny, silent visitor, the lizard, might be one such messenger. Its appearance could hold profound meaning, a sign that you are being called to reflect, to grow, or to change in some way. It might seem strange at first to think that a creature so small could teach us anything, but the truth is that the most profound wisdom often comes in the simplest forms. Today, we are diving into a Buddhist secret, one that has been whispered through the ages. Together, we'll explore the spiritual significance of the lizard. We'll unravel 7 transformative lessons it holds for us, lessons that speak to change, resilience, gratitude, and balance. These aren't just abstract ideas. They are teachings you can apply to your own life to find greater clarity, purpose, and peace. And if you stay with me until the end of this journey, I'll share with you one final, hidden truth. It's a truth that connects not just you and the lizard, but every living being. A truth that could transform the way you see yourself and your place in the world forever. So the next time you see a lizard darting across your home, pause. Look closely. Its presence may hold a message meant just for you. Let's uncover what that message is together. Imagine this. You find yourself walking down a serene path, winding through a dense bamboo forest. The sunlight streams through the swaying stalks, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow on the ground beneath your feet. Along the way, ancient stone lanterns stand like silent guardians, their surfaces worn smooth by time, etched with symbols of wisdom passed down through generations. The air is fragrant, filled with the sweet scent of lotus flowers blooming in nearby ponds, their delicate petals floating on crystalline water. Each step you take feels purposeful, pulling you closer to a place where stillness and enlightenment reside. You are not alone on this path. Others walk with you, their faces serene, yet marked by a quiet yearning for answers, a shared desire to understand life's mysteries. You all move together, yet in silence, each step carrying the weight of introspection and hope. The distant sound of a stream mingles with the gentle rustling of leaves, creating a melody that soothes the soul. At last, you arrive at a Zen monastery, hidden deep within the forest, its presence almost ethereal. In the heart of this sanctuary, you meet an elder monk. His robe is simple, his demeanor humble, but his eyes hold something profound, an ageless wisdom, as though he has gazed into the very fabric of existence itself. His presence alone radiates an undeniable peace, a sense that you are in the company of someone who has truly understood the nature of life. You are invited to sit in a circle in the monastery's garden, where the harmony of nature feels like an extension of the monk's teachings. The group settles, the soft earth beneath you grounding your spirit. Among you is a young woman, her expression a blend of curiosity and earnestness. Finally, she speaks, her voice quiet yet steady, carrying the question that has lingered in her heart. "Master," she says, "for some time now, I've been pondering the spiritual meaning of the lizard. It appears in my home so often, and I can't help but feel there is something more to it. I sense significance in its presence, but I cannot grasp the reason. Could you help me understand?" The monk listens intently, his expression unchanged, but deeply present. A faint, knowing smile forms on his lips, as though this question is not new to him, but has simply been waiting for the right time to surface. He takes a moment before responding, his voice calm, steady, and layered with meaning. The lizard, he begins, is a small creature, often overlooked, but it carries great wisdom for those who are ready to see it. Its presence in your life is no coincidence. It appears to you for a reason, as a quiet messenger with lessons to teach. Let us explore its meaning together. The group leans in slightly, their attention fully captured, ready to unravel the secret behind this unassuming creature and the wisdom it holds. And so, the journey into understanding begins. The monk looks at the group, his eyes calm yet full of depth, and begins to speak. The lizard, he says, his voice steady and serene, is a profound symbol of transformation. Think about it. This small creature must shed its skin to continue growing. It does not cling to the old, no matter how familiar or comfortable that skin may be. Instead, it lets go, trusting that the process will lead to something greater. He pauses, allowing his words to settle like ripples on a still pond. Life, too, is a constant flow of beginnings and endings. Change is inevitable. Yet, as humans, we often resist it, don't we? We hold tightly to what feels safe, what we've known for so long, old habits, outdated beliefs, even fears that no longer serve us. We cling to these things, hoping they will shield us from the uncertainty of what lies ahead. The monk's voice grows softer, more contemplative. But the lizard teaches us that true growth requires release. Shedding the old is not easy. It can feel uncomfortable, even frightening. But it is necessary. Only by letting go can we create space for the new, for the person we are meant to become. He gazes at the group, his eyes resting on each person as if inviting them to reflect deeply. So I ask you, he continues, what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? Perhaps it's a fear that whispers lies about your worth. Perhaps it's a habit that keeps you from growing. Or maybe it's a belief you've carried for so long that you've mistaken it for truth. His tone grows warm, encouraging. What would happen if you chose to let it go? What if, like the lizard, you trusted the process of transformation? Yes, the uncertainty of change is daunting, but it's also beautiful. It's where growth lives. It's where you find the strength to step into the person you were always meant to be. A moment of silence follows his words, as the group sits with the weight of the question. The gentle rustling of leaves fills the air, as if nature itself is urging them to reflect. The monk's presence remains steady, a quiet reassurance that the journey of transformation, while challenging, is one of the most profound paths we can take. The monk sits quietly for a moment, letting the sound of the breeze and the soft rustling of bamboo fill the air. Then, with a calm yet deliberate voice, he begins again. The lizard, he says, is more than just a creature of transformation. It is also a master of adaptability and resilience. Watch how it moves. It navigates effortlessly across different terrains, whether on rocky ground, smooth walls, or tree branches. It doesn't resist its environment, but blends seamlessly into it, using its surroundings to survive and thrive. He looks at the group, his gaze steady and encouraging. In life, challenges are as inevitable as the changing seasons. We face difficulties in our relationships, in our careers, and with our health. We encounter moments that push us far outside of our comfort zones, moments that test our patience, our strength, and even our sense of who we are. It is in these times that we must become like the lizard. His voice grows more emphatic, yet remains gentle. The lizard doesn't shrink from its challenges. It doesn't fight against its circumstances. Instead, it adapts. It adjusts itself to fit the situation, blending into the environment with grace and resilience. It finds creative ways to overcome obstacles, trusting in its innate ability to endure. The monk pauses, letting his words resonate with each listener. Then he continues, his tone softening into something almost personal, as if speaking directly to the heart of each person. Now I ask you, how can you adapt to the changes in your life? Think about the challenges you face. Are you resisting them, fighting them? What might happen if, instead, you embrace them as opportunities for growth? What if, like the lizard, You trusted in your ability to not only survive but thrive. He leans forward slightly, his expression both compassionate and firm. Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about facing it with courage, with the understanding that every challenge holds a lesson, every difficulty an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. The lizard reminds us that we are far more capable than we often believe. When we choose to adapt, to bend instead of break, we open ourselves to new possibilities. For a moment, silence settles over the group. The monk's words hang in the air, heavy with meaning, yet filled with hope. The sound of birds chirping and the distant murmur of a stream seem to echo his message. He finally speaks again, his voice barely above a whisper, but carrying the weight of timeless wisdom. "So I leave you with this question," he says. "What changes in your life are asking for your adaptability, and how will you rise to meet them?" The monk's voice softens, yet carries a tone of unwavering assurance as he continues. "In many cultures," he says, "the lizard is revered as a symbol of protection and good fortune. It may seem small and unassuming, but its presence is powerful, a quiet reminder that we are not alone in this world. It's as if the universe itself has sent this little creature to assure us that we are being watched over, guided, and protected." He pauses, his gaze sweeping over the group, as if to invite them into deeper contemplation. When life feels overwhelming, when the burdens you carry seem too heavy, it's easy to feel isolated, as though the world has left you to face your struggles alone. But the lizard's appearance is not a coincidence. It's a gentle nudge, a whisper from the universe, urging you to trust in something greater than yourself. It reminds you that even when things seem uncertain, unseen forces are always at work, guiding you along your path. The monk's voice takes on a calming rhythm, like the flowing stream nearby. To connect with this protective energy, you must be willing to listen, to open your heart. Meditation, prayer, and gratitude are powerful tools for this. In moments of stillness, you can feel the presence of this energy. When you express gratitude for even the smallest blessings, you align yourself with the flow of positive forces in the universe. It's not about avoiding challenges. It's about trusting that you're never facing them alone. He allows a moment of silence, the sound of the bamboo swaying in the breeze filling the space. Then, with a faint smile, he leans forward, speaking with quiet conviction. What if, instead of worrying, you chose to believe that you are being guided? What if you decided, in your moments of doubt, to trust that everything happening in your life has a purpose, even if you can't see it yet? How would that shift the way you experience your challenges? Would it allow you to breathe a little easier, to let go of some of the fear you hold so tightly? The monk's words settle over the group like a warm blanket, offering comfort and a sense of peace. He continues, "The lizard's presence asks us to remember that we are part of a greater whole. It tells us to trust in this connection, to believe that we are always supported, even when life feels uncertain. When we live with this trust, we find strength, resilience, and the courage to keep moving forward." His voice drops slightly, as if speaking directly to the core of their beings. "So I ask you to consider, what would your life look like if you chose to trust in this protection? What burdens could you release, knowing you are guided? And how might that trust help you see your life and its challenges in a completely new light?" The monk leans back, his eyes filled with the quiet confidence of someone who has lived these truths. The group sits in reflective silence, the monk's words weaving into their hearts, offering them a perspective they may carry long after this moment. The monk's gaze moves slowly across the group, his expression calm yet deeply focused, as though he is inviting each person into a moment of introspection. His voice is measured, deliberate. "Have you ever watched a lizard hunt?" he begins. It doesn't rush. It doesn't flail about aimlessly. Instead, it waits, perfectly still, patient, completely attuned to its surroundings. It watches, it observes, and only when the moment is exactly right does it act. There is no wasted movement, No unnecessary struggle, only precision, born from patience. He pauses for a moment, letting the weight of his words settle. In our modern world, we're conditioned to move quickly, to do more, to achieve faster, to respond immediately. We've grown so accustomed to constant action that stillness feels almost foreign, even uncomfortable. But the lizard shows us a different way, a path of mindful observation and patience. It reminds us that not every moment is meant for action. Sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is pause, wait, and trust the flow of life to reveal the right time to move forward. The monk's voice softens, carrying a note of empathy. How often do we act out of impatience? How often do we rush into decisions or situations, only to look back with regret? Perhaps it's in an argument where we speak too quickly and cause unnecessary hurt. Or maybe it's in a choice made hastily, without fully understanding the consequences. Impatience often leads us down paths we weren't meant to take. His tone becomes reflective, inviting the group to join him in considering the question. But what would change if we allowed ourselves to slow down? If we gave ourselves permission to observe the moment fully before acting? Could we find clarity where there was once confusion? Could we make choices that align more deeply with who we are and what we truly need? The monk's eyes seem to hold the group in a gentle embrace as he continues. Stillness is not inactivity. It is an active engagement with the present moment. It is a space where wisdom can emerge, where the noise of the world fades and the quiet truths within us become clear. The lizard teaches us to honor this stillness. It waits, not out of fear or hesitation, but out of trust in its instincts and in the timing of life. He pauses again, the silence around him feeling purposeful, almost sacred. So I ask you, he says gently, what would happen if you embraced stillness in your own life? What opportunities or insights might you discover if you paused to observe before rushing to act? And how might trusting the timing of life bring you greater peace? The group sits quietly, the monk's words resonating deeply. The sound of a distant bird call blends with the rustling leaves, as if nature itself is affirming the importance of his message. The monk's voice, steady and full of understanding, lingers in their minds as they each reflect on the power of patience and the quiet strength of waiting for the right moment. The monk's voice takes on a warm, heartfelt tone as he continues. Gratitude, he says, is one of the lizard's most profound teachings. This humble creature, moving quietly through your home, carries a message that is often overlooked. Its presence invites you to pause and truly notice the blessings that already fill your life. In its silent way, the lizard reminds us to appreciate what we have, rather than dwelling on what we lack. He pauses, his expression softening, as if encouraging everyone to reflect. In our fast-paced lives, it's so easy to focus on what's missing. We fixate on the things we don't have, the goals we haven't reached, the dreams still out of our grasp. But this mindset blinds us to the abundance already present. Gratitude, on the other hand, shifts our perspective. It redirects our attention from scarcity to abundance, from what's wrong to what's right. The monk looks around, his voice now steady and calming. When we take a moment to be thankful, even for the smallest things, a warm meal, a kind smile, a roof over our heads, we begin to notice just how much we truly have. Gratitude doesn't require grand gestures. It lives in the little things, the quiet beauty of the sunrise, the laughter of a loved one, the simple act of taking a deep breath. And when we cultivate this practice of thankfulness, we invite even more abundance into our lives. He pauses again, allowing his words to settle in the hearts of his listeners before continuing. Gratitude is a practice, not a fleeting feeling. It's something we can nurture daily, like tending a garden. What would happen if, every morning, you took a moment to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for? They don't have to be extraordinary. Perhaps it's the comfort of your bed, the sound of birds outside your window, or even the opportunity to begin a new day. Over time, this simple habit can transform the way you see your life. The monk's voice softens, his gaze filled with compassion. So I ask you now, what are you grateful for today? Think about it. Feel it in your heart. Gratitude is not just a thought. It's a feeling, a way of being. It reminds us to cherish what we have, no matter how small, and to trust that life is already abundant. The group sits in silence, the monk's words settling like a gentle breeze. Around them, nature seems to respond in harmony. The rustling of leaves, the soft chirping of birds, the distant murmur of a stream. It's as if the world itself is urging them to find gratitude in the moment, in the here and now. And with that, the monk's lesson lingers, planting seeds of appreciation that may continue to grow long after this day. The monk's gaze is calm, his voice steady yet profound as he speaks. Watch the lizard closely, he begins. Notice its movements, every step deliberate, every motion precise. Nothing about it is rushed or chaotic. It moves with purpose, with balance, in perfect harmony with its surroundings. It is neither too hurried nor too hesitant, always adapting to the moment. The lizard teaches us an invaluable lesson, the importance of balance and harmony, both within ourselves and in how we interact with the world around us. He pauses for a moment, allowing the words to settle, then continues. In the world we live in today, balance can feel like a distant dream. Our lives are pulled in so many directions. Work demands more hours. Relationships require energy and attention. Responsibilities stack up one after the other, leaving little time to simply be. It's no wonder so many of us feel overwhelmed, as though we're running on a treadmill that never stops. The monk's voice softens, becoming more reflective. But the lizard shows us a different way. It reminds us to seek harmony in all things, the balance between action and rest, between giving and receiving, between striving for our goals and appreciating the present moment. It doesn't overextend itself. It doesn't exhaust its energy chasing after things that don't matter. Instead, it moves thoughtfully, conserving its strength and focusing only on what is truly necessary. He looks at the group, his gaze filled with quiet encouragement. Now, I ask you, what areas of your life feel out of balance right now? Is it your work, pulling you away from time with loved ones? Or perhaps it's the opposite, devoting so much of yourself to others that you've forgotten to care for your own well-being. Maybe you've been so focused on achieving that you've neglected to pause and simply enjoy the beauty of life. The monk's voice grows softer, almost like a whisper of wisdom carried on the wind. To find balance, you must first become aware of where it is missing. This requires honesty, a willingness to look at your life as it truly is. Then, gently, you can begin to make adjustments, taking small steps to bring harmony back into your days. Perhaps that means setting boundaries with your time. Or maybe it's learning to say no when your energy is low. It might even mean carving out moments of stillness where you can reconnect with yourself. The monk smiles faintly, his expression both kind and knowing. Balance is not about perfection. It's not a destination, but a practice, a delicate dance that we refine over time. The lizard reminds us that harmony is not something we achieve once and hold forever. It's a state we cultivate daily, moment by moment, through awareness and intention. He lets the silence settle over the group, the only sounds coming from the rustling leaves and the soft murmurs of the natural world around them. Finally, he speaks again, his tone filled with gentle reassurance. So I ask you to reflect. How can you begin to bring more balance into your life? What small shifts could you make today to align your actions, your rest, your giving, and your receiving? The path to harmony begins with a single step, and the lizard invites you to take it. The group sits quietly, absorbing the monk's words, the truth of his message weaving itself into their thoughts. Around them, the natural world seems to echo his call to harmony, reminding them that balance is not just possible, it is essential. The monk pauses, his eyes reflecting a quiet depth, as though the next words he speaks carry a truth that is both simple and profound. After a moment, he smiles gently, his expression warm and inviting. There is one more lesson the lizard offers, he says, his voice soft yet resonant. It's a lesson not always spoken aloud, but one that is deeply important. The lizard reminds us of something we often forget, that we are connected to all living beings. He looks out at the group, his gaze resting on each person as if speaking directly to their hearts. The lizard, like every other creature, is part of the same intricate web of life that binds us all together. Its presence carries a whisper, a quiet truth, that there is no separation between us and the world around us. We are not isolated, not alone. Everything we do, everything we are, affects the whole. This connection is what gives life its meaning, its beauty, its purpose. The monk's voice takes on a contemplative tone, filled with both tenderness and urgency. But in our busy lives, it's easy to forget this. We get caught up in the illusion of separateness. Me versus you, us versus them, human versus nature. We build walls, both physical and emotional, believing they will protect us. Yet, the lizard's presence calls us back to the truth, that these barriers are illusions. When we harm another being, we harm ourselves. When we act with kindness and compassion, we heal not only the other, but the whole. He pauses again, his words settling into the stillness of the moment. Then he continues, his voice filled with quiet power. When we honor this connection, when we treat every creature, every person, every part of the earth with respect and compassion, we begin to heal. Not just ourselves, but the world. This is the lizard's most profound lesson, that the healing of one is the healing of all. The monk leans forward slightly, his gaze steady and unwavering. So I ask you to reflect on this. What would change if you truly saw yourself as connected to everything around you? How would you act differently if you understood, deep in your heart, that every choice you make ripples out into the world? Would you be gentler, more mindful? Would you extend more love, more care to even the smallest beings? His voice softens, becoming almost a whisper, yet his words carry immense weight. This connection is not something you must create. It already exists. It always has. The lizard reminds us to see it, to feel it, and to live as though it matters, because it does. The group sits in a profound silence, the monk's words resonating like a quiet drumbeat in their hearts. Around them, the natural world seems to respond. The rustling leaves, the song of birds, the soft hum of life itself. The monk's final question lingers in the air, an invitation to see the world anew. What would your life look like if you lived in harmony with all that surrounds you? And what kind of world could we create if we all remembered this connection? The monk takes a deep breath, his serene expression inviting everyone to do the same. After a pause, he speaks with a quiet, reflective tone. Let's take a moment to truly reflect on what we've explored together. Each of the lizard's lessons, transformation, adaptability, protection, patience, gratitude, balance, and connection, is more than just a teaching. Each one speaks to something deep within us, something we already carry. These are not foreign ideas, but truths waiting to be remembered, waiting to be awakened in our lives. He looks around the group, his eyes meeting each person with a sense of compassion and understanding. The wisdom of these lessons isn't something that lives outside of you. It's already within. The lizard is simply a mirror, a guide pointing us back to ourselves, to the truths we may have forgotten in the rush and noise of daily life. The monk's voice becomes more contemplative, encouraging the group to turn inward. I want you to think for a moment. Which of these lessons resonates with you the most? Perhaps it's the lesson of transformation, the reminder that growth often requires us to let go of what no longer serves us. Or maybe it's adaptability, the lizard's ability to move gracefully through life's challenges, showing us that we too can endure and thrive. He pauses, his voice softening further, becoming more personal. Maybe it's the lesson of protection, the gentle reminder that even when life feels overwhelming, we are being guided and supported in ways we may not always see. Or it could be patience, the art of waiting for the right moment rather than rushing into action. Perhaps it's gratitude, the call to focus on the abundance already in our lives, to see the blessings in even the smallest things. The monk's gaze sweeps the group again, his presence grounding and reassuring. Or maybe it's balance, the lizard's graceful movements reminding us to find harmony within ourselves and with the world. And finally, perhaps it's the lesson of connection, the understanding that we are all part of a greater whole, that our actions ripple out and touch everything around us. He leans forward slightly, his voice carrying a quiet sense of urgency. Whatever lesson speaks to you most deeply, ask yourself this: how can you bring it into your daily life? How can you live it, not just as an idea, but as a practice? Transformation might mean letting go of an old habit or belief. Adaptability could be embracing a change you've been resisting. Gratitude might be as simple as pausing each morning to reflect on what you're thankful for. Balance could mean setting aside time to rest. And connection might be reaching out to someone with kindness, or treating even the smallest creatures with compassion. The monk lets his words settle, the stillness of the moment filled with the gentle sounds of nature around them. These lessons are not grand or complicated. They are small, intentional steps that align us with the deeper truths of life. And in practicing them, we don't just change ourselves, we begin to change the world around us. His voice softens to a near whisper, carrying both encouragement and hope. So I leave you with this question: which lesson will you carry forward from today? How will you let the wisdom of the lizard guide you, not just now, but in the days to come? The group sits in silence, their thoughts turning inward. The monk's words linger in the air, an invitation to take what they've learned and make it a part of their lives. Around them, the gentle rustling of leaves and the warmth of the sunlight seem to echo his message, as if the natural world is encouraging them to begin their own quiet transformation. The monk sits quietly for a moment, as if letting the weight of the teachings sink into the air around him. Then, with a calm yet encouraging voice, he begins to speak again. The lessons of the lizard are not just abstract ideas or distant concepts meant for contemplation alone. They are practical, tangible tools, guides that can help us navigate our lives with greater mindfulness, balance, and purpose. He pauses, his gaze resting gently on the group. Sometimes, when we hear about transformation or growth, it can feel overwhelming. We think we need to make dramatic changes, take bold leaps, or overhaul our entire way of being. But the lizard reminds us that profound transformation begins in small, simple steps. You don't need to change everything at once. You just need to start. His voice softens, carrying the warmth of reassurance. Begin small. Start by letting go of just one limiting belief. Perhaps the idea that you're not good enough, or that change is too hard. Release the fear that holds you back, even if only a little at first. Remember, just as the lizard sheds its old skin one layer at a time, we too grow by gradually releasing what no longer serves us. The monk smiles faintly, his tone becoming more reflective. Practice gratitude each day. It doesn't have to be complicated. Simply pause to notice 3 things you're thankful for. It could be the warmth of the sun, the laughter of a friend, or even the simple fact that you're here, alive, with the chance to begin anew. Gratitude is like a key. It unlocks the door to a deeper awareness of the abundance already present in your life. He leans forward slightly, his voice gaining a quiet strength. Take a moment to pause before acting. How often do we rush through our decisions, reacting out of impulse or habit? The lizard teaches us the power of stillness, the wisdom of observing the moment before we move. Trust that this small act of patience can bring clarity and prevent unnecessary struggle. His words hang in the air, and the group listens intently, their expressions softened by the depth of his guidance. Trust the process, he continues, his tone now almost like a gentle reminder. These small, deliberate steps may not seem like much at first, but they are seeds. Over time, as you nurture them with intention, they will grow into profound transformation. The path to a more meaningful life isn't built in grand, sweeping gestures. It's created in the quiet moments, the small choices, the the consistent practice of living with mindfulness. The monk's gaze lingers on the group, his eyes filled with compassion and understanding. Remember, the lizard does not rush its growth. It doesn't force the shedding of its skin or try to leap ahead of its nature. It trusts the rhythm of life, knowing that each small step carries it closer to its fullest potential. And so can you. He leans back, his presence steady and grounding, and allows the group a moment to absorb his words. Around them, the soft sounds of nature, the rustling leaves, the distant chirping of birds, seem to echo his message. The monk's final words carry a quiet power, leaving an imprint that feels both timeless and deeply personal. So I ask you, he says gently, what small step will you take today? What is one thing you can do, however simple, to bring the wisdom of the lizard into your life? The lizard, though small and often unnoticed, carries within its presence a wisdom that is vast and deeply profound. It reminds us that growth is not only possible, but inevitable, even in the face of challenges that feel insurmountable. This quiet creature, moving effortlessly through its world, teaches us the beauty of transformation, the strength of adaptability, and the serenity found in patience and balance. It invites us to see life differently, to approach our days with gratitude for what we have, and openness to the infinite possibilities that lie ahead. The lizard does not resist the flow of life. It moves with it, trusting each step, each moment, as part of a greater journey. And in its quiet, deliberate way, it asks us to do the same. So, the next time you notice a lizard darting across your home or resting in a quiet corner, don't dismiss it as mere coincidence. Pause, reflect. Remember the wisdom it embodies. Let it remind you to embrace change, to trust in the unfolding process of life, and to step fully into the person you are meant to become. Life, like the lizard's movements, is a series of small, purposeful steps. Each moment is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to connect more deeply with ourselves and the world around us. The lizard whispers this truth to us, not in words, but in its very being, a truth that, when embraced, can guide us toward a richer and more meaningful existence. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery and reflection. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to carry it with you, to share it with others, and to make space for its wisdom in your daily life. Don't forget to like this video, share it with those who might benefit from its message, and subscribe to this channel for more insights into life's hidden teachings. Until we meet again, may you walk your path with mindfulness and courage. Stay curious, stay open, and may peace and harmony guide you always.